Welcome to Karma Ledger. Today's story begins like any other until a suitcase, a card, and a name on a phone bill turn an ordinary night into the end of a marriage. It didn't feel like a turning point. It felt like midnight. I was sunk into the couch in our small, warm living room, thumbing through my phone without reading anything, when I heard a car roll up outside. Headlights slid through the blinds. Keys clinked. The front door swung open and Amy stepped in, suitcase in one hand, phone in the other. She was glowing, really glowing. Not just happy to be home glowing, but a polished, sparkling kind of joy I hadn't seen in years. She was laughing at something on her screen, the sound bright and weightless. "Hey, honey," she bubbled, toes kicking free of heels. "You will not believe this trip. Meetings on meetings. Then we nailed the presentation. It's going to be huge for the company." "That's great," I said, giving her a little hug. She smelled like hotel soap and a perfume I didn't recognize. "And the food." She lifted her phone, sliding a text with her thumb. "They took us to this place like Michelin star unreal." She kept talking, and I kept watching because something was off. The energy in her voice was too effervescent. The giggles aimed at her phone a little too secret. My brain called it jealousy. My gut called it instinct. "You seem really happy," I joked, squeezing her shoulder. "Maybe I should send you on more business trips." "Yeah, maybe," she said, and the laugh turned nervous, thin around the edges. She snatched up her suitcase. "I'm just going to unpack." She walked down the hall, and the house shifted from bubbly to silent. My chest tightened. I wasn't in the habit of snooping, but the quiet felt unnatural, like a stage without actors. I drifted toward the bedroom. The door was cracked. I heard her whispering, frantic and low, "No, no, no. Not now." I pushed the door with 2 fingers. Amy sat at the edge of the bed, suitcase open, a paper clutched in trembling hands. The color had drained from her face. That glittering smile was gone. "What's wrong?" I asked. She jumped, stuffed the paper deep into the suitcase, and snapped it shut so hard it echoed. "Nothing. Just work stuff." She tried on a laugh that didn't fit. "I'm fine. I'm tired. I'll tell you tomorrow." She breezed past me toward the bathroom. The door closed. Water hit tile. I stared at the suitcase, then at the bathroom door, back at the suitcase. My gut said, "Open it." I'd never done that before, never felt the need. But the silence in the house had the gravity of a secret. When the shower masked my breath, I slid the zipper and lifted the lid. At first it looked ordinary. Clothes, toiletries, some folded papers. Then my fingers brushed a box neatly wrapped, no name, tied with a red ribbon. Too intimate for corporate travel. I opened it. Sleek, black lingerie, bolder than anything she had ever bought with me. Nestled in the fabric, a small card in Amy's handwriting. "For when we're finally alone." Heat rose in my ears. My stomach turned. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a map. I put everything back exactly as I found it, hands shaking so hard I fumbled the zipper twice, then backed out of the room like I was leaving a crime scene. On autopilot, I grabbed my phone and logged into our carrier account. Her recent calls bloomed on the screen. Long durations to numbers I didn't recognize. Daily calls to one number in particular. I pasted it into a reverse lookup site. Ethan Reynolds. The name meant nothing and everything at once. The shower shut off. I locked my phone and slid it away. Amy drifted into the bedroom with damp hair and a clear face. She searched my eyes for evidence that I knew something. I smiled a practiced smile. "You okay?" she asked too casually. "You look pale." "Just tired," I said. She slipped under the covers. I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, listening to a clock that had never sounded so loud. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the card, the lingerie, the name. By dawn, I had a plan. I played it cool. Coffee. Small talk. The usual morning choreography. I tossed a casual question over my mug. Any exciting stories from the trip? A half-second freeze, then her standard smile. Not really. Mostly meetings, presentations, the usual. Must have been exhausting. It was, but worth it. The client loved the pitch. We might close next week. Smooth. Too smooth. She was editing in real time. I waited for my moment. When she showered, she left her phone on the counter. Amy had never changed her passcode our wedding date, somehow both sweet and tragic. Texts opened with a familiar swipe. Ethan. I can't stop thinking about this weekend. It was perfect. Amy. You were perfect. I miss you already. Ethan. Me too. When's the next trip? Amy. Soon. I hate sneaking around. But it's worth it. Photos followed her in a hotel room mirror, her in that black set I'd held in my hands, her smile aimed at someone else's world. I locked the phone, set it down, breathed. I'm heading out for a bit, I said, keys in hand. Okay, she said, eyes glued to her screen. See you later. I drove to a quiet lot and stared at my reflection in the windshield. I'm not the blow-up-and-break things type. I think in steps. So I made a call I never imagined I'd make. A private investigator named Jack. He listened, asked for schedules, emails, logs, anything I could provide. I gave him everything. The call records, the text screenshots, the number lookup. He said he'd start immediately. The next days were a performance I wished I didn't have to act in. I laughed at her jokes, kissed her goodnight, ate dinner, sat on the couch while her thumbs danced. Meanwhile, Jack sent updates like tremors under a city. Locations, timestamps, people he'd spoken with. Then came the call. We've got something, he said. You'll want to see this. I told Amy I had a last-minute meeting. Jack met me at a diner with a manila folder and an expression that warned brace yourself. He slid the folder across the table. The first photo showed Amy and a man, Ethan, at a hotel bar, leaned close enough to share oxygen. Another with his hand on her thigh. Another of them walking into an elevator, fingers interlaced. There's video, Jack said, tapping a small USB drive. Lobby, bar, elevator, hallway. How long? I asked, voice thin. A few months, he said. Every time her travel lines up, he shows up. He added one more sheet, a booking confirmation. Miami. 2 weeks. Weekend for 2. She wasn't slowing down. She was scheduling the next chapter. Thank you, I said. I meant it, and I hated that I meant it. I'll take it from here. That night, alone in my car, I watched the hotel footage on my laptop. I watched their faces light up in the lobby. I watched them laugh like they were the only 2 people alive. I watched the elevator doors kiss shut around them. It hurt, with a clarity that almost felt clean. Pain can be fuel. I decided not to waste it. I didn't want a screaming match. I wanted certainty. I backed up everything: photos, messages, footage onto multiple drives and cloud accounts. I printed stills. I rehearsed what I would say. I picked a night when she was relaxed on the couch scrolling, and I sat across from her. Can we talk? I said. Serious talk. She looked up, curious, not worried. I put the manila folder on the table. Her eyes dipped to the edge of the paper, and a flicker of panic blew across her face like a draft. What's that? Something I need to show you, I said evenly. But first, anything you want to tell me? Anything at all? Color drained from her cheeks. Silence stretched. Then I'll go first. Photos slid across the wood. Amy's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I can explain, she whispered. I'm sure, I said, and opened the laptop. The elevator footage filled the screen. It's not what it looks like, she said, barely audible. It's exactly what it looks like, I said. I know about Ethan. I know about Miami. I know everything. Tears pooled. I felt nothing but the blunt weight of truth. She finally managed. It just happened. Affairs don't just happen, Amy. You booked flights. You snuck around. You lied. Those are verbs. Her hands twisted together. I didn't mean for it to go this far. You've been doing this for months. Miami is on the calendar. My voice rose. How far were you going to take it? Move out quietly. Tell me I'm crazy until I stop asking questions? No, she said quickly. No, never. I wasn't going to leave you. I just wanted what? Excitement? A thrill? A version of you without me in the frame? She stared at the evidence and found no oxygen left in the room. I never stopped loving you, she tried. I laughed, humorless. You don't do this to someone you love. You don't burn down the house and call it a candle. Her crying sharpened. Please, just give me a chance to fix it. No, I said, calm as a gavel. I pulled out the stack of screenshots and dropped them with a soft thud. This goes to a lawyer in the morning. I'm filing for divorce. Amy reached for my hand. I pulled back. You don't get to shatter something and decide when I stop bleeding. I stood, grabbed the folder and the laptop, and headed for the door. Please, she said, voice cracking. Don't leave. I'll do anything. You already left, I said. The moment you chose him. The door closed behind me. The night air felt like honesty. I drove nowhere for hours. Ended up at a cheap motel whose vacancy sign stuttered. The room smelled like lemon cleaner and old hope. I sat on the bed and opened the folder again, not to torture myself, but to cement the decision. In the morning, I called an attorney named Alan a recommendation from a coworker who survived his own implosion. I told him everything. He listened without flinching and laid out the options. With proof like this, Alan said, we can keep it straightforward. Clean break or pursuit? I wanted revenge, and I wanted peace. Two wolves fighting over the same bone. Clean break, I said, but no free pass. She owns what she did. All right, he said. I'll draft papers today. Do you have a place to stay? I'll manage, I said, looking at a carpet that didn't want to be carpet anymore. Later that day, Jack called again. One more thing. Ethan is married. His wife found out. She's not quiet about it. Let her be loud, I said. Maybe the truth deserves a microphone. The next days blurred into logistics. Alan moved fast. I signed things that made the end official. Amy floated through the house smaller than before. Her bubbly persona collapsed into apologies that sounded like scripts. I stayed steady. We spoke like people dividing a business. I deserve better, I told her. You made your choices. Now they make you. The process, to my surprise, stayed civil. With the evidence on the table, Amy didn't fight. We split assets fairly. I kept the house. Ethan's wife went public, and their world imploded in a way I didn't have to watch. What surprised me most wasn't the fallout. It was the feeling that slipped in quietly after. Relief. Anger evaporated. Grief thinned. The shape of my life without lies started to look livable. I rebuilt in small pieces, reached out to friends I'd let drift, dusted off hobbies I'd shelved, went for long walks without a phone in my fist. Sleep returned in patches, then in stretches. Months later, in a coffee shop, a woman named Rachel tried to balance a laptop and a cup and almost lost both. Need a hand? I asked, half smiling. She laughed, real, unpolished, bright. I swear I'm not usually this clumsy. We talked. Hours slid by. She was kind, without effort. Funny, without performing. When we traded numbers, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I walked out into dusk, lighter than I had any right to be. Amy's betrayal had cut me open, but it hadn't hollowed me out. The wound became a window. The future something I'd been afraid to picture finally looked like a place I could live. Moving on didn't mean pretending it never happened. It meant choosing which story to carry forward and which to set down. My story didn't end with a hotel elevator and a lie on a phone. It ended with a folder closed, a door opened, and a life I got to write on my own terms. And for that, I'm grateful. Thanks for listening to Karma Ledger.